nobody on this road that can save your soul. Almost lost control now. Tell me what you need in a friend and now. Pray that we endure to the end again. I'm just saying that I'm here for you. When the world turn against you, I'ma be with you. Got my sword in my hand, you can count on me. I won't run and hide, fight mightily.
Waiting on O.F.I. See the Jacob, I'm the apple of my father's eye. I learned the truth for who I was and it made me cry. If I don't keep the laws of Yah, then I'm gonna die. Living curses, but I'm edifying in my verses. Prepare the hearses for the heathens who be steady
Khan. First and foremost, want to start by giving all praises to the Most High, the Heavenly Father, Yahweh. He is the existing one. We do so by Shema Mashiach, Wamalak O.F.I, brother Nakamaya, General Nakamaya of O.F.I. All praise to the Most High, only for Israel. Man, Salakia once again. Definitely got started a little later than I wanted to, but all praise to the Most High. I'm here. Tonight's lesson through the Spirit, Manna Mondays. Tonight we want to get into guarding your spirit and protecting your spirit, at all costs. At all costs in this truth, you got to protect your spirit. I mean, there's a lot of different things that can go on. In the spirit, it goes into not just protecting your spirit in terms of the people you're around, what you consume. There's so much different content even out here nowadays, in the truth and out of the truth. So many doctrines, right? People have attitudes and just bad, malicious intentions. And you got to protect your spirit from all these things, So we're going to get into that through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai tonight on definitely protecting your spirit and really just striving for righteousness, man. And it's truth. It's not easy in this truth all the time, y'all. You have ups, you have downs, you have battles, you have good days, you have bad days, you have, certain times you feel like that you on top and you can just endure through everything. Certain times you have certain afflictions going on where you might feel like you defeated. And all these things, all praise to the Most High for our Lord willing keeping us in his truth and not causing us to go astray or to be sifted out, right? And we don't want to be ignorant of the Most High God and all of the things that, all of the blessings that he has afforded us in his truth. You know what I mean? It's like, it's easy sometimes to get overwhelmed. All right. You don't want to give your spirit over to heaviness. You don't want to give your mind over to heaviness. You want to be able to stay centered and to be steadfast, right? Let's look up this definition real quick. You want to be able to be steadfast, resolute or dutiful, firm and unwavering. And it's truth in life, period. No matter what situation you're in, you want to develop a steadfast mentality, all right? To be resolutely or dutifully firm and unwavering. When you think about somebody's duty, let's go into this word dutifully in a conscious or obedient manner. So in protecting your spirit, that is a conscious thing that you have to think about and you have to be aware of. You have to be aware of the different attacks by the spiritual demon Satan and his cronies. You got to be aware of unprofitable talk. You got to be aware of wicked thoughts and how to cast them down. I struggle with that every single day. The mind just wants to go off. I'll be sitting there. I'm at my place of business or so-called employment, and I'm might be coding on a computer, or might be, just doing some type of task, and my mind will literally just try to go off. And I got to reel it back in. Like, damn, why did you even just have that thought? And it's not things that I'm consciously, right, trying to think about. But when you have these thoughts, you have to examine yourself somewhere in your subconscious mind, as they call it. These things must be embedded. And you got to be able to dig deep and unroot these things through the spirit, or else they'll overthrow you. You know, you'll get overthrown by your own thoughts. And the next thing you know, you're acting on these lewd, wicked, unrighteous, thoughts that are just embedded from all of these decades and decades of sin, of folly, of madness, of wickedness, of undiscipline. So you got to protect your spirit in its truth. Let's get I want to start off with this precept right here in the Wisdom of Solomon, since I got it up. Wisdom of Solomon 13:1 through 3. Surely vain are all men by nature, who are ignorant of the Most High God, and could not out of the good things that are seen know him that is. Neither by considering the works did they acknowledge the workmaster. A lot of times we fall into different diverse temptations, and I was just teaching my daughters about this. We was having a little family lesson before I got on the live, and it's like temptation is one of the number one enemies or things that you got to guard your spirit against, because the mind is, what does it say? The mind is deceitfully wicked. Who can know it? Right? See that in the book of Jeremiah. So when you think about your mind and all of the different components of the mind, now we're not even talking about the brain, right? I think that's one thing I want to see show real quick too, right? Brain versus the mind. All right. So look, it says the brain is a physical organ, while the mind is a collection of mental processes like thoughts, feelings, and consciousness. The mind is not a physical thing you can touch. Now, I want y'all to really think about that, family. Your mind is not you got to separate your brain from your mind. Your brain is the physical organ, right? The mind are the functions of your brain, your emotion, your intellectual self, your thoughts, your feelings, your consciousness. The mind is a spirit. It's a spiritual thing, right? And your spirit is directly connected to your thoughts. The manner of spirit that the Most High has put into you is going to determine how you think, if you overcome those thoughts, if you become subjective to those thoughts, right? What type of thoughts you have, what spirit you moving in is going to determine what your mind frame is. And we got to realize you got to protect your mind, because your mind is directly connected to your spirit. So if you're allowing, like for instance, if you only let's put it this way, if you're addicted to porn and you watching them smut all day, your mind is going to be overthrown with those lusting, fornication, wicked thoughts. And your spirit then is going to start moving your spirit is going to guide your physical body. Because you got to think about this. Your spirit is connected to your thoughts, right? When your thoughts are a part of your mind. But all of that affects your brain, because your thoughts and everything are housed inside of your brain. And then your brain gets impulses from those thoughts, and those thoughts then are conveyed into physical manifestations of things. Whether those thoughts dictate your actions. So now you're going about it in a way where, because you have an unclean spirit, which is producing unclean thoughts, those thoughts and feelings and emotions, they form the construct of what fuels your brain. And now your brain is acting in the physical realm based upon your consciousness, which are your thoughts. So, even when we we had a certain situation, right? where we was giving counsel to a brother before, and we were trying to tell the brother that a lot of the things that you're going through is because your thoughts, the spirit that you're moving in is guiding you into error, right? And that's really deep when you think about it, because a lot of the times you have in the professional world, what are they called? You have psychiatrists, things how you spell it, right? Psychiatrists. And psychiatrists really goes into like drugs, being able to prescribe drugs. Look, a psychiatrist is a medical doctor specializing in the diagnosis, treatment, and prevention of prevention of mental health conditions. They have extensive training in both biological and psychological, my bad, aspects of mental illness, allowing them, look, to prescribe medications and prescribe psychotherapy. Now, the thing about this is that when you go into a psychologist versus psychiatrist, which both are the pseudosciences in the sense, because psychiatrists, they're going to look at your mental state and they're going to look at your physical state and conditions and how those two interact. And then they're going to try to prescribe a medication to bring balance to you, right? Now, we're not saying that all medication is bad, right? But it's a spiritual thing. Because even a lot of these medications put spirits on people, right? That goes into pharmacy, pharmakeia, which literally in the Greek goes back to sorcery and witchcraft. And so the point is, a part of protecting your spirit starts by protecting your mind, right? And I want to get this quick precept real quick, because it says, I believe it's Proverbs 25, right? Is you got to have your spirit in a way where you don't want to be in a position where you don't have rule over your spirit. That's what I'm trying to say, right? Proverbs 25 and 28. He that have no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls. And if you don't have rule over your spirit, you're going to be subject to whatever, right? Whatever. It may be a situation or situations where you're subject to external opinions and what people think about you. That drives a lot of people's mentality. You don't want to get caught up in that. You want to only, now I'm not saying that it's not important to have a good name, or it's not important to have a good reputation. Those things that the scriptures even tell us that a good name is to be chosen rather than the gold of O.F.I or choice silver and so forth and so on. So let's not get simple. I don't mean it in that way, but you shouldn't be so concerned with what the world thinks, that begins to mold and dictate you and convince you to go in a direction that's contrary to righteousness. And a lot of people get caught up in that. So even having rule over your own spirit even goes to being able to control your thoughts, to control your actions, right? To control your impulses. Because you got to think, we were born in sin and shaping in iniquity. And the flesh is made to go off. The flesh has impulses, right? The flesh will lead you into doing things that you don't want to do. I'm going to get this quick precept real quick, right? Because, and this goes back to having that control over your spirit. Let me get this in the KJV real quick. This Romans 7:18, right? Because the flesh, man, is wicked. And that's why Yahushua told us and taught us by his mighty example of overcoming the flesh, right? Of being tempted, but overcoming temptation, receiving that crown. And that's why Yahweh is so merciful to us, unto us, that he sent Yahushua, what does it say in the book of Hebrews? In the nature of men, in the flesh. right? It behooved him to be made in all ways, paraphrasing, like his brother. Because how could he be that righteous, mighty, perfect example if he didn't have to go through the same things that we had to go through? It would have been an unfair advantage, right? Now, we know nothing the Most High does is unfair, but from our perspective, our vantage point is like, okay, how do you expect us to obtain something that no one has ever obtained before, right? So it's the book of Romans, chapter 7 and verse 18. For I know that in me, that is in my flesh, dwelleth no good thing. For to will is present with me, but how to perform that which is good, I find not. Now, what our brother is saying here, and I want to read up, man. Let me go up to verse like 15, matter of fact, because this is deep, right? This is deep. 1 second. I want to start with verse 15. It's the book of Romans, chapter 7 and verse 15. For that which I do, I allow not. For what I would, that do I not. But what I hate, that do I. Now, this, it might sound confusing to some people, but what our beloved brother Paul is teaching us, he like, look, for that which I do, I allow not. My actions that I'm doing, the things that I'm doing, I don't want to do those things. It's not even me who's allowing myself to do those things. It's I'm caught up in my flesh. So my flesh, these impulses are guiding me, right? For what I would, that do I not. The things that I do want to do in righteousness, some reason I can't seem to get those things right. Hey, look, I don't want to be lusting after this brother's wife, but I'm lusting after this brother's wife, and I don't want to do that. Hey, I don't want to be keep smoking weed. I really don't want to do that, but I find myself getting high. Hey, I don't want to keep what's another example? Somebody said, I don't want to keep just lying all the time. But when the time presents itself to tell the truth, I don't do it. Right? Hey, I don't want to be slothful. But when opportunity comes to be disciplined, I reject it. So this is what he's saying. For what I would, that do I not. But what I hate, that I do. Man, I hate sin, but I find myself in sin. This is what the brother is teaching us through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. If then I do that which I would not, so he's saying, hold on. So if then the things that I'm doing are the things that I don't want to do, I consent unto the law that it is good. Now, what is he saying here? He's saying, look, based on my understanding that there's a law according to righteousness and sin is transgressing the law. So if I want to do those things that are righteous, but I can't do those things because I'm compelled by the flesh, then I'm consenting and saying, I need the law. Right? Now we know that faith without works is dead. You need a Mashiach woman like Yahushua too. You need faith and works, right? But he's saying, I consent that the law, that it is good because it's contrary to all the wicked things. If I'm going after, and if I'm not controlling my spirit and not protecting the things that are going to empower me, because if you don't pour into your spirit, you're going to pour into your flesh. You're going to do one or the other. And that's why Yahushua was teaching us that you can't serve two masters, because you're either going to love one and hate the other, or you are either going to cleave to one and reject the other. You can't be double-minded, right? You can't be double-minded, because it goes back to the fact of the matter that you can't strive to keep the law and strive to break the law. They're two contrary, right? I believe it's in the book of Ecclesiastes. Let me get this quick precept real quick. Where's that at? It says, paraphrasing, hold on again. think it's in Iraq. It's either in Iraq. Let me see real quick. I'm looking for it real quick. Well, basically, paraphrasing says the Most High works are two and two, one against the other, basically, right? And that goes into that same phraseology in terms of like, man, it's hard sometimes, y'all, and you gotta realize that, like, just because you come into this truth, just because you know your nationality, just because you put on fringes, just because you are keeping the new moons, the Shabbats, all of these things, that doesn't stop the fact that Satan, right, is like a roaring lion and seeks to destroy you. That doesn't change that fact. That doesn't change the fact that every day you wake up, you're going to have temptations that you got to overcome. That doesn't change every day that you wake up, you got to continue to endure. Every day you wake up, you got new demons, you got old demons, you got slothful demons, you got wicked spirits, you got all these manifest things that you got to fight away. And if you're not protecting your spirit, if you're not constantly pouring into your spirit, into your ruach, right? That breath of life, that understanding that the Most High talked about in Genesis, right? I believe that's the 2nd chapter. Then what defense are you going to have, right? What defense are you going to have? You're not really going to have a defense. Your defense is going to be vain. Your hopes are going to be vain. You're going to have a false expectation. And you're going to be overthrown straight up and down. These are the things we got to talk about, y'all. These are the things that we have to realize. You can know a billion breakdowns, but where's your spirit at? Are you protecting your spirit? Are you truly striving to be built up? I got a lot of things I got to work on. I think about it every day. Like, man, Lord, help me work on this. Hey, help me be more diligent. Lord, help me be more disciplined. Bless me with more wisdom. Help me be more compassionate. Help me be more sincere in this truth. I think that's something that if I could say one of the top things that I really been crying out to the Most High for is sincerity, man. Because I don't want to be in a situation where you just going through the motions. All of these things are a part of protecting your spirit. Because if you're not moving in the spirit of sincerity, what are you doing in this truth? If you don't have a spirit of discipline, you're going to be like that city. What did it say? He that have no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls. When you think about an ancient city, they had the walls that were built to protect things from coming in and destroying that city. Sometimes in the ancient world, they took months and months to besiege the city, right? To overthrow. Let me get this picture real quick. Besiege city walls. Look at this. I'm gonna get this. Here. This is. Let me get some images. Lucky. So look at this. It's a good picture. See this? Look at this wall. They literally had to build, these bulwarks in order. And look, it's a moat. So they had to lay all of these woods and things in the moat, then build a bridge, then build this platform with a drawbridge on it and ladders to try to besiege the wall. Look at these ancient cities. Look at this. 3 of the most impressive city walls in the ancient world. Let's see this. Decline these cookies. 3 of the most impressive. The walls of of Avila, right? It says 2,516 meters. That's the perimeter. How tall were they? Excavation shows that the walls were first built in the 1st century AD, right? Here a little. Kind of fast forward. Look at these walls. And you see the walls were made to protect the inner sanctum of the city. These are some big high walls. And we know we have Jerusalem, right? Oh, Salaki, here are these walls right here. Like I wasn't sharing the right screen. Look at this. These are walls. Look at that. So walls were to help the city not get besieged. But it says, he who has no control of his own spirit is like a city with broken down walls. Now I want to show y'all this depiction right here. City walls ruined. Ancient, for ancient ruins. Look at this. This is like a city with a broken down wall. Look at those walls. They crumble, they ruin. They have no protection. All type of wild animals, wild beasts, right? Armies, nomads, people can you could be pillaged. Look at all these examples. These are cities that have broken down walls. Now, at one time, these walls were glorious. Look at this. See these ancient cities with these walls. So how do you build up your walls to protect your spirit? What are your walls composed of? You know, there's different ways also to construct walls so that they're stronger. You know, you have bricks, you have mortar, right? You have stone. And some of these ancient, I think it was the so-called Great Wall of China, they said it took like, hold on, let me see, hold on one second. How many workmen to build up the wall? Built up Great Wall of China. Look at this. It says, one second. The construction span was over 2,500 years to build the so-called Great Wall of China, right? In many different dynasties. So they put in discipline and diligent engineering, planning, execution, a forced labor, organization in order to establish these walls that are still there to this day. What are your walls built of to protect your spirit? Is it things of this world? Is it money and riches? Is that what defines you? Is that what brings you comfort? Is it women and drugs? Is it vanity? Is it pride, conceit? Analyze what are the building blocks and what materials have you used to construct your spiritual walls to protect your spirit. These are the things we got to really think about and examine, y'all. Right? Let's get back to it. Romans 7:17, he says, now then is it no more I that do it, but sin that dwelleth in me. So you got to think about that. A part of protecting your spirit is getting those sinful ways out of your mind, out of your conscience, to cleanse your conscience, right? Let's get that Psalms 51:11. And this is why our beloved brother David cried this out. He said, Psalms 51:11, cast me not away from thy presence, and take not thy Holy Spirit from me. Because if you're away from the presence of the Most High, if the Most High is not dealing with you, you're subject to death, destruction, vanity, wickedness, all different types of things. So you want to be positioned, right, by Shem Yahushai to be able to stay in the favor and in the presence of the Most High. And that goes into even like true meditation. I remember we was at camp. This may be about 2 Shabbats ago, maybe even 3, right? And there was a brother who came up, and I believe it was Captain Judah was teaching at this particular time. And the brother asked about meditation. And you know, I don't know if the brother asked about meditation or somehow we got on meditation. And Captain was teaching like you got to meditate on the precepts. That's what the scriptures teach. That is a way that you stay in the presence of the Most High, right? Abiding under the shadow of the Almighty is literally you got to meditate on the precepts. And this is what David is saying. Look, restore unto me the joy of thy salvation and uphold me with thy free spirit. You want to be upheld in righteousness with the spirit of the Most High. And that directly goes into, right? That directly goes into, let me get this right quick. The word. Because when you think about this John 6:63, what he's teaching here, it is the spirit that quickeneth. It's the spirit that makes you alive. Your consciousness, right? The flesh profiteth nothing. We just read in that Romans. We just literally read in Romans 7 how, you know, your flesh will have you doing something that you don't even want to do. So the flesh profiteth nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. So this is what our mighty beloved brother and King David is teaching as well. When he's asking the Most High to cast them not out of his presence, right? Uphold me with thy free spirit. You can get the free spirit of the Most High through his word. Because these words, they are spirit and they are life. Let's get that classic. Psalms 119. I think it's 109 I want. Bam. My soul is continually in my hand, yet do I not forget thy law. How do you not forget something? Because you meditated on it. It becomes a part of who you are. It becomes a defense mechanism. It becomes a what is it called? A security. It becomes consolation, right? To console you. It becomes your advisor. It becomes your arbitrator, right? It becomes all of these things that you begin to depend on, right? And this whole chapter is amazing. You know, let's get Proverbs 4:23. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Life has a lot of issues. Now, what is it saying? Keep thy heart. Is it talking about your heart? No, it's talking about your mind. Because out of the mind springs many issues. The mind is like literally is like a damn body of water, right? Think about it. Your thoughts, think about the ocean. How many waves are in the ocean? Certainly no man can calculate how many waves there are in the ocean. You can't even calculate the direction of the waves. You got waves that are going this way. You got currents that are flowing this way. You got an undercurrent that might be flowing a different way. That's how our mind is, our thoughts. There's so many issues and things. There's so many challenges that just start in the mind. And that's why also in Psalms 119, when it says, wherewithal can a young man cleanse his way? By taking heed unto thy commandments, right? If you want to cleanse, because in order to protect yourself, You first got to cleanse yourself from yourself. And that's what that Romans 7 was talking about. So look, I'm doing things that I don't want to do. But I know it's not me that's doing it. It's my flesh that's compelling me to do it, because in my mind, in my spirit, in my consciousness, I don't even want to move that way. These are the things that we're talking about, y'all. We got to continue. In order for us to increase in our learning, in order for us to increase in our righteous servitude and our diligence, we got to make some changes. And they got to be conscious changes. You consciously, right, through the spirit, you got to be quickened if you want to be made alive. We can no longer sit on the sidelines and wait aimlessly. Like, just this truth, this ain't magic, y'all. Yeah, the Most High can do whatever he wants. He could change your mind. He can do anything at the drop of a dime. But the Most High is not a genie. He's not some damn genie where you just, oh Lord, just make. I mean, you got to put in action, right? Think about Abraham. Didn't it say his faith with his works was coupled in why he got the prize? Because even when he was called to go sacrifice his son, Isaac, he had faith that he believed in the Most High, but he had his works. He had to actually go and do something to show that he had faith. We can't sit on the sidelines no more. We got to actively be out here building up ourselves, being built up through the spirit, not built up through the flesh. And that's why, I was talking to a brother about this before on working out. Like when you go work out and you consistent, you begin to see results. And the more you go, the more that you get in this groove, in this rotation, right? In this cadence. And the easier it becomes. And the more inclined you are to keep that discipline to maintain it. But as soon as you stop going, you start falling off. And it becomes more difficult to get back on. It's like running up a hill full speed. You kind of start jogging. Then you run and you building up your endurance. But then once you start falling back, you trying to catch yourself. It's hard to catch yourself and move forward at the same time. And so when you building your spirit up, you literally sometimes you gotta do what I call a hard reset, right? You literally have to start weeding things off. Because you're trying to run up this hill, but you got so much damn baggage on you that's just pulling you back. You got to start shedding the baggage. Shedding those old ways. Didn't it say put away the old man, right? Put away the old man. It's like, you get this in this Ephesians, right? That Ephesians 4:22, that ye put off concerning the former conversations, the old man, which is corrupt according to the deceitful lust. You got to put off that old man. You can't protect your spirit and build yourself up by Shem Yahushai, and you still that old nigga that you was. And you still that old thought sister that you was, damn, doing all of the wicked stuff that you was doing. But you say, God got you. You got on your hair wrap. You got on your dress with the fringes. But you still that old woman. The outward appearance changed, but the inside is rotten. Yo, we got to make a change. And it's going to take some work. Let me get this Ecclesiastes 5:2. I think it is. I'm looking for it. 1 second. Sirach 5:2. Because I'm going to get it right here. Right. Bam. Bear with me 1 second. This tab I'm looking for. Here it is. Bam. Sirach 5:2. Don't follow your inclinations or your strength in order to walk in the desires of your heart. Now that, when I first read this verse, I didn't know what the hell it was talking about, Salakia. I'm like, man, what does this really mean? But with his teaching, remember, the heart is your mind, your thoughts. Look, don't think you have to have everything you want and then spend your energy on trying to get it. Now, it's okay to have ambitions. It's okay to have goals. But what is your intention behind trying to accomplish those things? And what is your balance like? And I struggle with balance. Time management is key. It's only a certain amount of hours in a day. And you got to study. You got, brothers got wives and children and businesses and jobs and responsibilities and family and domestic duties. You damn got to cut the grass. You got to, hey man, this world, it's a lot of stuff you got to do. But you got to be able to prioritize. And that's another thing, a part of protecting and building up yourself through the spirit is being able to prioritize and set things decently in order. And know your position within your priorities. I'm going to say that again. You got to know your position, the role that you play within your own priorities. It says, do not rely on your strength and following the desires of your heart. And that heart goes into the mind. Because if you're only focused on following the impulses of what you think you want or the impulses of the things that you desire, you often can get jammed up and get lost. You lost in it's like being in a rat race. It's like this. Let me get this. I think like a gerbil. That's what it's called. Running on the wheel. Look at this. Look at this. You don't want to be like this.
Lightning and
They
fire.
just damn running. They just running on the wheel all day. Look at that.
Whoa.
Running on the wheel. They're not going nowhere.
And your gerbil just spun all the way on the wheel.
But in his mind, he's accomplishing his desires. He's just damn running, but he ain't going nowhere. You don't want to be like that. You just following your own heart after your own desires, but you're really not going nowhere. You're not growing. A lot of times, fear will stop you from sacrificing the things that you need to be able to gain the things that you need to. So we got to be able to build ourselves up, right? Protect your spirit. Let me get this Isaiah 61:3. Let me get this Isaiah 61:3. Bear with me. The book of Isaiah, chapter 61:3. To appoint unto them that mourn in Zion, to give unto them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness, right? That they may be called trees of righteousness, the planting of Yahweh, that he might be glorified. Now, it's a couple of things in here. In everything we do, we should be doing it that the Most High God gets the glory. And this is something that I started doing different in my approach to things. It's like, okay, am I doing said actions because I want to do them, or is my intentions in doing said actions so the Most High can be glorified? And if you change your mentality or your intent behind the actions that you do, you will in truth find out where you, Lord willing, where you falling short at. And the reason why I say that, because if you just doing something to do it and you don't have any true purpose behind it, then you just like that damn gerbil running on that circle. You literally have to set your mind frame to say, okay, I want to do A, B, and C, but Lord, can you bless me and show me if this is in your will for me? It's like this, like, something simple. Even in terms of let's say you have a certain talent or gift, right? And that gift, the Most High, you got to realize, gave you that gift, right? He gave you that gift. But how are you using that gift to magnify him, though? Like, he gave you a gift, but are you only using that gift for financial gain? Are you only using that gift to leverage your position in life, which is cool? Don't get me wrong, right? But how are you using that gift to magnify the ministry? How are you using that gift to bring brothers and sisters into this truth? Like, these are, and it's a lot, y'all. And these are the questions we got to ask ourselves. And you got to be honest with yourself, Lord willing. Because you can't protect yourself from yourself by lying to yourself. And we just such a hurt and damaged people, though, too. So there's a lot of layers that really affect the outcome of things. Like, nothing is just surface level. You got to be able to dig deep. You got to peel back those layers, right? And sometimes that first layer, it might be the hardest one to peel back because it's got so callous, right? It's got so hard, it's got so rigid. But once you peel back that first layer, hey, you just keep going, just keep peeling back them layers. And what's going to help you peel back them layers is by utilizing this double-edged sword that you got, this word, and cutting through all of the bullshit, man. Salakia, what are you afraid of? We say we want the kingdom, and I believe a lot of us in the concept of it, really, we do. But it's like, what are we really willing to do to dedicate ourselves to Lord willing being that number? And you got to think about it this way. Let's say you knew, which nobody does, but let's just take this hypothetical situation. Let's say you knew that Yahushua was coming back and you have 7 days to prove yourself worthy. You knew you had 7 days. Think of how hard you would go, Lord willing, in that 7 days. Now, some people, the Most High will put a spirit on them where they're like, okay, I got 7 days. I'm going to wait till day 4 and then try to go hard. Some people going to be like, I'm going to wait till day 6 and then I'm going to go hard. But some people, they're going to, from that first day, they're going to go so hard them 7 days. We don't know if we got 7 minutes before he come back. Now, we know it's prophecies that got to unfold and things, but the Most High can stop time and do. You got to think. There was a time, I think it was that Isaiah or was that Jeremiah? One second, real quick. Who literally stopped time. Let me get this account real quick. Is that Joshua? Yeah, that was in Joshua 10 and 12 I'm looking for. It says, the book of Joshua, chapter 10, and verse 12. Then spake Joshua to Yahweh in the day when Yahweh delivered up the Amorites before the children of Israel. And he said, in the sight of Israel, sun, stand thou still upon Gibeon, and thou moon in the valley of Ajalon. And the Most High literally stopped time. So we know the Most High could do that, right? But guess what, y'all? And another precept that came to mind is that while we pray that he makes the day shorten, we hastening to get to the kingdom. But what are we doing to really make our calling and election sure? We should be building ourselves up. And that's why it's so important to protect your spirit. Because if you're not moving in the right spirit, then you're going to be moving in a wicked spirit. And if you're moving in a wicked spirit, then you're going to be subject to sin and continually go off and get further and further away from making a kingdom. The conversations I've been trying to watch lately, like even what I say, you know, like in conversations being like, you know what, I don't want to say too much because sometimes we go off just from talking too damn much. And now you didn't slander somebody's name. Now you didn't lied. Now you didn't know the whole matter, and you done made an impulsive decision based on emotion. And it's like, this is a serious thing, y'all. We got to find a way to find a way, you know? But the great thing is we got the way. The Most High left us the blueprint, right? Man, let's get Baruch 3 and 9. Because I think I went through 11, right? Baruch 3 and 9 through 11. Hear Israel, the commandments of life. Give ear to understand wisdom. I love that. You got to think about giving your ear. A lot of things that are poetic in the scriptures, that are metaphors, like really think about them on the physical level. Like if you had to give your ear in order to give wisdom. How happeneth it Israel, that thou art in thy enemy's land, and that thou art waxing old in a strange country, that thou art defiled with the dead. You got to think about in the law, right? In the law, you were unclean if you touched a dead body, if you went around a dead body, it was considered being defiled, unclean. Now think about spiritually, how many people are dead spiritually here in this world, and they don't know the Most High. They don't give two damn cares to try to walk according to righteousness. They damn homosexuals, womanizers, dykeism, is that what lesbianism, Slakia, you know? Hey, pedophiles, man, so many damn pedophiles in this world, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely disgusting. Hey, damn, so-called atheists, all type of stuff, man. How many people just out here just spiritually dead? You don't want to be defiled with them. That ain't the company you want to keep. These are the things we got to do to examine ourselves. Look, thou art counted with them that go down into the grave. Another thing about protecting your spirit is, what is the company that you keep? Even in this truth, what is the company that you keep? Man, it'd be a lot, y'all. It'd be a whole lot. Too much to put on a live. So, man, we got to do better, y'all, as a nation. We got to do better. We got to, man, we got to do everyone. We got to do better, y'all. You got to build your spirit up. Think about Daniel. Let's get Daniel 1. Let's get Daniel 1. Let's see. Think about what Daniel did. Daniel built up his spirit by rejecting his flesh. And you got to think the king set all type of foods and all type of stuff in front of him, right? But Daniel, he had in his spirit was built up in a way where like, I don't give a damn about none of this carnal stuff. I'm not about to defile myself with meats and, you know, the book of Daniel, chapter 1 and verse 8. But Daniel purposed in his heart, that's in his mind, in his consciousness, in his emotions, and his feelings, his dedication to the Most High, that he would not defile himself with the portion of the king's meat. Think how many people in this world defile themselves for riches, for fame, for glory, for notoriety, for that damn woman that they want, that man that they want, for their children, you know, their parents, their job, that when people just defile themselves. But Daniel purposed in his mind. He had purpose in his mind. He knew, like, look, I'm not about to defile myself. My purpose is to serve Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. He had that purpose in his mind. His spirit was in the right place. He said that he would not defile himself with the portion of the king's meat, nor with the wine which he drank. Therefore, he requested of the princes of the prince of the eunuchs, that he might not defile himself. He even went so far and said, look, man, it's him. He was steadfast. I'm steadfast. I ain't getting down with the get down. You know what? Let me reach out to the authority that's in place right now in this captivity, and let me even put them on notice. He didn't have a spirit of fear. He didn't have a double-minded way. Well, you know, maybe I should. Oh, it's only one drink. Now he kind of, it's only, eat a little of the king's meat. It was just a little, was gonna know. He didn't have, Daniel wasn't moving in that type of spirit, right? And you got to think when you go through this account, he was more well favored, and basically by being on this, by that righteousness, the Most High even showed him in terms of like how he appeared. Look at verse. I'm gonna start with verse. I'll get right to the point. Verse 14. So he consented. I'm gonna start with verse. What was the 10 days? I'll right here. I'll get right here. And the prince of the eunuchs said unto Daniel, verse 10, I fear my lord the king, who hath appointed your meat and your drink. For why should he see your faces worse, liking than the other children which are of your sort? Then ye shall make me endanger my head to the king. Now, a couple of things. I'm led to believe it says other children which were of your sort. So there were other children of the captivity that did consent to the meat and the king's portion, right? And other nations, you had the Chaldeans, you had so forth and so on, that were under the rule of Nebuchadnezzar and so forth and so on. So he basically like, look, you don't want to eat this portion of the king's meat. You're going to look worse. You're going to look skinny or than the other children. You're not going to look healthy. Then said Daniel I to Melzar, whom the prince of the eunuchs has set over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Prove thy servants, I beseech thee, 10 days, and let them give us pulse to eat. I believe pulse goes into kind of like a soup almost, right? Like a broth, salakia, to eat and water to drink. Then let our countenances, which is, our face, our body, our face, my figure, basically, be looked upon before thee, and the countenances of the children that eat of the portion of the king's meat, and thou seest, and as thou seest, deal with thy servants. So Daniel, the spirit he had, the mind he had, was built up. Not only did he have faith, he had assurance and he had certainty that the Most High God wasn't going to give him over into vanity, that the Most High God wasn't going to give him over to be subjected to death. He had that assurance because the Most High, he had that, his spirit was built up, y'all. He basically like, look, I don't give a hell what you talking about. Feed him all that king's meat. We ain't eating that portion. We ain't doing that. We ain't eating of the king's meat. And I'm led to believe, right? I'm led to believe that big portion of that king's meat was pork. I'm led to believe strongly. I'm strongly led to believe. And a lot of that king's meat too, you got to think, was probably, you got to think about Babylon. All type of idols and probably sacrifice the idols and all type of stuff. Daniel, like, I ain't rocking with that. You got to build yourself up by Shem Yahushai in the spirit. And a lot of that goes into your faith. Knowing that the Most High God, the law, statutes, and commandments that he's given us, you got to have faith that therefore are good. You got to have faith that if you do your part, the Most High always going to do his part. Look, I tell people, it's never the Most High who drops the ball. It's always us. We drop the ball and then want to look at the Most High like he did something wrong. Now, peep the outcome. So he consented to them in this matter, verse 14, and proved them 10 days. So he said, look, I'm going to give y'all that 10 days y'all asking for. And basically, after this 10 days, if y'all look skinny and frail and all of that, y'all, I'm gonna put y'all back on this. I'm gonna put y'all on this meat, right? And at the end of the 10 days, their countenance appeared fairer and fatter in flesh than all the children which did eat the portion of the king's meat. So you got to think about that. The mighty spirit that he was moving in, and the power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. The Most High showed him favor where he stood on his 10 toes. He stood, as they say, 10 toes down. He wasn't wavering. And at the end of that 10 days, when they looked at Daniel, Mishael, Hananiah, and Azariah, they're like, man, y'all looked healthier than the children who was on the king's meat. This is the type of spirit, y'all, we got to move in, man. We got to move in the right spirit. Let's get Proverbs 23 and 7. For as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. Now, this is the mind. As you think in your mind, so is he. Eat and drink, saith he to thee, but his heart, his mind is not with thee. A lot of people get overthrown by not only their thoughts, but the thoughts of the company that they keep. You trying to be built up in the spirit. You're trying to protect yourself from wickedness, but you're around all these damn wicked people who preying on your downfall, but you don't have the discernment and the discipline to separate yourself. To be ye separate. Yes, we're supposed to be in a light and dark places, but if your light shining so bright by Shem Yahushai, you don't always have to be in the same presence for them to be able to see you. Think about that. Think about them damn spotlights. Let me just get this spotlight. Look at this. Look. Spotlights. Look at this. Think about a spotlight. You don't have to be, the spotlight is shining so bright You don't have to be at this location to see it. So yes, we're supposed to be a light in dark places, but you moving through the spirit and power, the Most High can have your cup overflowing, your light shining so bright that they can still see you. You can still, Lord willing, bless them with by being that mighty example. That don't mean you got to be around them. That don't mean you got to be them hanging out with them. A lot of times your spirit is so broken down because you make yourself subject and you keep putting yourself in harm's way with the company you keep. You know, I want to get this quick precept, right? Because doesn't it, when you think about good corruption, I mean evil, what is that precept I'm looking for? Evil corrupts good character. 1 second. Bad company corrupts good character. That's what I want. This 1 Corinthians 15 and 33. Look, 1 Corinthians 15 and 33. Be not deceived. Evil, I'm going to get in the KJV, matter of fact, first. Be not deceived. Evil communication corrupts good manners. Right? You want to watch your speech. You want to watch your mouth. You want to watch your mouth. And you want to watch the company that you keep. Now, I'm going to get this right here. HCSB. Do not be deceived. Bad company corrupts good morals. You striving for righteousness and perfection, but you around people who are striving for wickedness and folly. That you aren't equally yoked. And you keep wondering why you keep being pulled in situations. You, Most High, you know, I'm striving for righteousness, but it's just me. It's just trials and tribulations. No, nigga, it ain't. Salakia. It's not. Brother, it's not just trials and tribulations. A lot of it is judgment. Because what are you doing? You're being subjected to the things of the world. So we got to do better, y'all. But all praise to the Most High, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, you know, on this mighty Manna Mondays. You know, I pray to the Most High, Lord willing, this was edifying. Y'all, let's practice and just focus on building up our spirits, walking in the spirit. Hey, shedding off the old man, shedding off the extra baggage, and putting on that full armor. Praying, fasting, praying, repenting, you know, confessing your faults one to another, praying for one another, and being honest with yourself. Praying, asking the Most High God to build you up. Most High, increase my faith. Lord, examine me. Let me know the things that I need to change. Give me more discipline. Give me more diligence. Increase my sincerity. Increase my compassion. Compassion is a big thing as well. These are the traits and attributes that you want to build on as your foundation. These to be cornerstones so that you can be a perfect and entire, lacking nothing. So with that, Brother Nakamaya of Brothers of O.F.I, only for Israel, want to give a hearty shalom to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. Greetings. Kwam Yashala.